Hello, shiny happy people. Welcome back to my channel. My name's Dominique, aka the Cinema.Sewist, and today I have a very special video for you. This is the first episode of a series that is supposed to be the heart and soul of this channel, and you've probably seen it by the title card. It's called Cinemakes. So in Cinemakes, I am trying to recreate styles that I've seen in movies or in TV shows and make them my own because I see things and then I think I need this in my life. So this is the start of that series. And for episode 1, I have a very special Cinemake to share with you, or let's better say to invite you on the journey to get to the Cinemake, because it is going to be a fairly involved make, I would say. Today we are going to, or I am going to, and you're going to watch me recreate the Tony Manero disco suit from the movie Saturday Night Fever. And before we get into anything, before we get into what fabric I'm going to use, the patterns I'm going to use, I also want to talk about a little bit about the film and a little bit about the suit, because I think it's kind of interesting to bring it all into context. Without further ado, let's get to the movie, Saturday Night Fever. All right, so I have my little cheat sheet down here just to not mess up any of the vital information about the movie. So, Saturday Night Fever came out in 1977, directed by John Badham, and it is obviously, since probably most people know the movie, it is starring John Travolta. Now, if you want to dive deeper into the story around Saturday Night Fever, I can actually highly recommend it. There are a couple of documentaries around the making of the movie, and it is very interesting because the movie came out, as I said, in 1977, and practically the disco era at this point was almost dead. There was not really the demand for a disco movie. But when this one came out, it had like such a big following, and it developed such a cult status in such a short amount of time that it revived the disco era. Just when you look at the numbers, the budget was $3.5 million. This was made fairly on the cheap, but it grossed at the box office over $230 million. So just getting that relation into mind just shows how successful this movie was. Of course, the soundtrack, mainly by the Bee Gees, also gained a huge cult following, and also it made them famous. It made the Bee Gees famous and brought them to the status that they have today. It made John Travolta very famous because he was just an actor coming from Welcome Home Carter, which is a comedy show back in the 70s. And mainly he signed the contract for this movie along with 2 other movies. One of them would be Grease. And his main objective was to be in Grease. This was not his favorite pick. And you can kind of get why when you look at the movie. So the story revolves around him playing Tony Manero, 19 years old, comes from a family of Italian immigrants. He's a store clerk in a paint shop by day and the disco king by night, together with his buddies, with his crew of guys that he hangs around with, right? And the movie is mainly around the feel of life of that time. It is very, from today's standpoint, when you look at it, a lot of people say it is very racist. It is very misogynistic, which both is probably true if you look at it from today's standpoint. When I watched it recently, I very much appreciated it, though, especially for those things, because it is very authentic. Of course, you can always go and say, yeah, it's too much in those regards. And especially, I remember I really hated this movie as a kid because when well, this movie is not really as light of an entertainment as Grease is. And especially when you then see spoilers for those who haven't seen it, if you see it fairly at the end of the movie, the topic around rape and also suicide, it it gets very dark, and it's not a very lighthearted movie, but again, it is very authentic. So yeah, that is also probably why it spoke to the people the way that it did. But it was more of an underdog movie than anything else. Nobody really expected this movie to become as big as it did. But we're not here to talk only about the movie. Mainly, we're here to talk about the disco suit, the iconic highlight for the last part of the movie where John Travolta is wearing this white suit. So let's get into that quickly. Again, my sheet. I actually did find a website talking a little bit more about the suit, and I might actually also put it in the description box because it is interesting to read what the suit is made of, how it came to be. But I'm just going to touch upon a couple of points before I get into what I'm going to make actually. So the suit is pure polyester, which is the first thing. And spoiler alert, I'm going authentic because my fabric is also polyester. But the reason why it is polyester is mainly because it was the 70s. Polyester was a big thing in the 70s. And the costume designer, Patricia von Brandenstein, she actually, because as you heard before, this was fairly low budget and there was no money to create iconic costumes. So there wasn't much wiggle room for the costume designer to do anything apart from going around shops and picking up the styles off the rack. So everything you see in the movie is actually clothes that are off the rack. So um, but that also adds to the authenticity of the style of that era. So you really see authentic late 70s fashion in this. So it is a four-piece suit. You got the pants, you got a jacket, you got a waistcoat, and then you have a black shirt. I believe it has a slight stripe, the shirt. But what they did for the dance scenes, just so that the shirt wouldn't untuck while Travolta was dancing the way that he did, because his dancing was fairly involved physically. As if you know the scenes, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, John Travolta's dancing is wow. I still find it unmatched. I'm a dancer myself, but he is like it is extremely cool when you see it. And it involved a lot of training. So if you look at the documentary, you see how much work was actually put into him getting to that point. But in order for the shirt to not untuck constantly, it was actually sewn to, I think it was sewn to the pants. So kind of like a bodysuit situation, so that he could actually physically move the way that he did in the movie. And also another piece of trivia, because this is a full polyester suit, they actually had two suits because he was dancing for a while in one suit, and then it was just drenched in sweat. He had to completely change, keep on filming while the first shoot was drying, and then when the second one was wet, he got back into the first one. So it is actually kind of funny to read about that. Yeah, how they actually did it in the movie. But you could tell. I mean, harsh lighting and then a polyester suit. That's really rough. So the jacket does have patch pockets, as far as I can see. I'm trying to look at the images. It has a lapel, a very 70s lapel. It's quite exaggerated. And there are like two slits in the back of the jacket with sort of like a pleat. I think that's more for movement also as well, and part of the style of the 70s. And yeah, in one picture you can actually, maybe I can put it up here, you can actually see that there is a stripe in the blouse or the shirt. I'm gonna make a blouse, he's wearing a shirt. Okay, let's get this description straight here. And the trousers are fairly figure hugging in the hip area, and then they flare out in the bottom, which is also, I think, why the patterns I've chosen work for a ladies version of this. Now, mind you, I'm not going to make this one-on-one that it looks as close as possible to this. This is more of an inspiration for me. I want to make all 4 pieces, but then again, I'm going to make this my own thing. I think you're all excited for the fabric and the patterns, so let's get into those. In terms of fabrics, let's start with those first. The suiting, like I said, in my case, is going to be authentic to the original, and it's going to be plain polyester, which sounds terrifying. And considering that I live in Miami and in southern Florida, it's never really cold and you are always sweating. It's like when you walk here through the summer, you're walking through soup. That's with the humidity like really amping it up. But I found this. This is from Minerva.com. I'm gonna link this also in the description box. This is going authentically with the original, an ivory white polyester suiting. I already pre-washed this, but when you look right now, you can see the stripes of my top bleeding through, which is also why I'm going to fully line the suit. And the lining is going to be a viscose lining. So I think this is going to help a lot in terms of making this wearable. I got, as you can see, I got 4.5 meters of this because I really wanted to make sure that I get the jacket, the blazer jacket, the pants, and a waistcoat out of this. So 4.5 meters polyester suiting. Very ungracefully throwing that to the side. Now for the shirt, the blouse. I had something in my stash, which I am going to use, but in my memory, I thought this was a lot darker. I actually thought this was black with a silver lurex stripe, which would have been perfect compared to the original. But then I grabbed it out of the box where I stashed it, and it turns out it is gray with silver lurex stripes. Now, this is really old. This is super old. This is from my stash. I inherited this from my mom, and from the actual weave, because it's fairly irregular from the weave, this might even be a silk. So yeah, this is the blouse fabric, and I am going to use it regardless. I'm using this. It is going to be less of a contrast than what you have in the original, but honestly, I don't mind that. It's another step of making this more my thing. I don't know how much I have. I'm going to measure it. I'm going to put it down in the description or pop it here on screen. But I think this is going to be enough for that. And I have buttons as well. Maybe quickly showing these ones. I might pop a picture below. These were spontaneous buy. They have the Valentino logo on them. Last part, the patterns. So to make things interesting, I am using, for the jacket and the pants, I'm using 2 patterns from Vicky-Sews because I think from the cut they look fairly close to the original suit, but also I had bought the patterns last year and I wanted to use them for my Meg 9. And then I didn't. because I didn't get around to doing it. Get distracted, my ADHD brain, it happens. So now I'm using these two patterns. One is the Etery blazer. I'm going to pop up a picture so you can see. And the matching Hillary trousers. I think it's the Hillary trousers. If not, then you see by the picture that I was wrong. No, it is the Hillary trousers, I'm fairly sure. So these two pieces are going to be the jacket, the blazer, and the pants. The waistcoat, I have not figured out yet which one I want to make. I'm tempted to make the new look pattern again that I made just recently. Forgot the number, put up a picture up here so you can see it. I like the fit of this one. It's actually really nice. And for the shirts, I'm using the Vogue 8772. Yeah, that is the plan. Are you excited? I am very excited. I'm really looking forward to having a Tony Manero disco suit for myself. I just saw the movie recently, like I said, and I saw the dance scene and I saw him in the suit and I was so like, oh my God, I really want that suit. I don't know why, it just hit me. I've seen the suit a million times before, but at that point it just hit me. I was like, I want that suit. And if an idea manifests in my brain, I just go for it. So that's what we're doing today. Stay tuned and follow me along on this journey. And we're back. Today is technically day one of Project Tony Monero suit. As you can see here, got a pile of fabric. That is on purpose, so you can see what the amount of fabric is I have to deal with. But it's already close to 5 p.m. I was busy all day. Sunday, I was busy all day with other stuff. I did make a new dress, and that was a spontaneous make. I really wanted to use up this fabric, and future me is going to be so nice to pop up some pictures for you on the side. If you want to see more, make sure you check out my Instagram. I'm going to link that down below, just in case you're not coming from Instagram to here, which is more likely. So in that case, you've already seen it, but yeah. In any case, I'm getting started on cutting out the suit. I have the patterns. This is the Etery blazer, the Hillary trousers, and the Vogue 8772 blouse. Now I have looked at the blazer and the trousers again. I would like to make some changes. I'm not sure how successful I'm going to be. I think for the Hillary trousers, it's fairly easy because I looked at them and they're not flared enough on the bottom for me. So I'm going to give it a slight flare, not too much. They have like open slits on the bottom, but I want to increase the flare a little bit, make it a little more 70s. And with the Etery blazer, I am going to try and make it so that it has two buttons. The original now has one button, and for the length of the blazer, I don't really like that, so I'm going with two buttons. Might try and change the shape a little bit. The darts are also going to go onto the inside. They're not going to be decorative, especially since I'm adding patch pockets onto the blazer. So yes, that is the plan. You can watch me go insane cutting all this out. We'll see how long it takes. In any case, I'm going to put you on time lapse, and yeah, I'll see you later. Hello, shiny happy people. It's been a minute or two or three. What happened was that I did not film what I did, but regardless, I did do some things. Well, I'll get to that in a second. It's been 2 weeks now from the footage that you saw me cutting out the Edery blazer and the Hillary trousers. Now, in the meantime, I have also cut out and sewn up the V8772 blouse, which you will see in a second. Now we're back. It's Sunday night. I'm trying to sew something and have you on camera. The problem is also sometimes I sew very spontaneously. I sew fairly late, and sometimes I sew in my pajamas, which is something you will not get to see. When I'm in my pajamas, I'm not filming myself sewing. So right now I'm more in my athleisure wear. It's fine. Tonight I am going to start the Edery blazer. There has been also the reason that I've had to cut out a lot of interfacing for this and for the Hillary trousers, and cutting out interfacing and ironing it on is boring. Nobody wants to see that. It's a long-winded process. I'm still not done. There are a couple of things I still need to interface, but I'm at least done for the most part. Today I also added fusible tape to the edges of the main parts of the blazer, so that's all done, but that's nothing I want to put on camera. And with the blouse, what happened was I did that last weekend when I also had performances. So I was just spontaneously sewing in the morning, just as far as I got to it, and then I had it out for the performance. I just didn't want to put up a camera, get the shot all aligned. Even though it only takes a couple of minutes, it takes some time. And I didn't want to bother when I'm already thinking about a performance. Without further ado, I'm going to show you right now the blouse because it is pretty awesome. Yes, so here it is. This is the first finished piece of my version of the Tony Manero suit. Again, this is the Vogue 8772 blouse. It is an easy option sew according to the package. And I would say, having sewn a couple of blouses now up until this point, this is a fairly easy sew. There are difficulties like the collar and the cuffs and so forth. There's a little bit of difficulty level in it. However, it comes together fairly easily. I would recommend this to a beginner that knows a little bit what they're doing. Not a beginner who's never touched a sewing machine in their life, but this is a pretty good sew. And it was fairly easy. That's why I could kind of squeeze it in during the performance weekend. Now you see I added this bow scarf, and in the original pattern, this bow variation is actually, normally it is attached as a collar, but that gives you very limited options. So I've just made it into a scarf that you can tie into a bow, and you can also wear it like this, like a regular shirt blouse. So if I open this up a little bit, I'll probably wear it like this from the opening, right? So yeah, there you go. That's the Tony Manero knockoff shirt. I'm pretty happy with this. The greatest thing about this is a silk. I kind of sensed it from the structure because it has like those thicker, a little bit of thicker knots, which looks like a Dupioni silk, like one of those natural silk weaves. And I did a burn test once I've cut everything out, obviously like small snippet, and it is actually a silk, which is amazing. So I have a silk blouse with my polyester suit. At least one piece needs to be a bit luxurious, right? I also like the little buttons that I recently bought. I got them from an Etsy shop in Italy, and they are, I don't know how authentic they are, but they have the Valentino logo on them. So I have a bit of haute couture flair on this shirt. Yes. And on that note, we'll go for the Edery blazer. So we do have some progress. This is the jacket. We only have the fronts and the back together. I can flip this around so you could see. This needs more pressing, I have to say. There's a lot of pressing involved because of the amount of darts. But yeah, I'm gonna do this over time and see how it turns out. At the moment, this is just, yeah, just loosely together. But there is progress. And I think this is going to look really cool. Obviously, you will only be able to tell once the sides are together and you have the facing on the lapel here together and the collar itself. At the moment, it looks still very rough, but that is all the progress for tonight, and I shall move on tomorrow. Yes, we have the borders of the jacket stitched together. I love this. This is so good. So I did stitch the lapel and then the shoulders and the side seams for tonight. What I will need to do, which is away from the pattern, because the pattern of this blazer doesn't have any pockets, and the Saturday Night Fever version has 3 pockets, so 2 patch pockets on waist height and then 1 breast pocket. They're all patch pockets, so they're not welt pockets or anything. I thought there was a welt pocket up here, but yeah, looking at it again, it isn't. So I need to draft those, and then yeah, it's a simple matter of cutting, placing them, and sewing them on, which I can do at any time before I add lining. But this is really good so far. I really like this. The fit is really nice, so there's still a bit of room in there. And I'm glad I'm wearing my Adrian blouse underneath it, although I could not wear this on the finished blazer, to be honest, because the sleeves are very, very slim, and this is obviously a wide sleeve shirt, but that's what we have this baby for. Yeah, I like this, and we will move on tomorrow night, day 3. Today on the menu we have parts of the collar, parts of the facing, and big surprise, we have pockets. Let me get them. I did draft the pattern pieces for the breast pocket and then for the 2 pockets that are going to be on waist height. And what I did was I found completely different pattern because I wanted pockets that have this rounded angle to them. This is a dress pattern, but as you can see at the bottom here, these actually were what I was looking for. So I copied that pattern piece and then adjusted the scale, made them a little bigger for the waist and then a little smaller for the breast pocket. Cut those out, they're over there in fabric, and interfaced everything. So these can go on as well today. I am going to insert a little clip what I did. So in case you want to do something similar, you then know how I went about it. On a side note, these are smaller than the original from the Tony Manero suit. So I'm going to pop up a picture so you can see that the original has very 70s style pockets. They are humongous and way too big also for the Edery blazer, because this blazer is very fitted compared to the original is slightly fitted, but not as fitted as this version. And I didn't want to go super big on the pocket, so I think this size will do. We'll test it out. We'll see how it goes. I've cut them from some scrap fabric that I had because I have a piece of fabric left over, but I still need to cut the waistcoat. I don't want to touch that at the moment. I really want to make sure I get the waistcoat out of the 4.5 meters that I was provided with. Also, and you're going to see that later, I will try on the waistcoat that I made previously because I want to figure out if that pattern works for this blazer, just how the combination of the two necklines look. Let's get cracking. Let's get started. Day number 5. Full disclosure, there was sewing on day number 4, aka yesterday, but I didn't film it. You will see this shortly, what all I did, and there is a lot of progress with the blazer, which is great. It is a fairly satisfying sew, I must say. I was worried a lot more than how it's turning out. I think that's a good thing. The color is very much like the original. It was funny because I saw something on Amazon. I was looking through when I Googled the actual Saturday Night Fever suit. Obviously, you get like shopping recommendations, and they had this Saturday Night Fever suit on Amazon. I might pop a picture here. And it was pretty fascinating because they wanted $250 for that thing. Now, okay, it is a 4-piece suit, but it looks just terrible. And it's not even from the cut, it's not even the original. There are not patch pockets on it that the original has. It is stark white instead of ivory white. And it just looks bad. The pants look so bad. That's just why I love sewing. I just love creating my own stuff and being able to actually make something in line with what I imagined. And this one comes out pretty much like I imagined it. So that's a good thing. Now, moving on, we are preparing some sleeves because yesterday I did finish the lining of the bodice. The lining's in, the full color is done. The patch pockets are on, all three of them. I had to redo the breast pocket because that was off whack. But now that's all standing. It's all good. There was a lot of hand sewing involved, which is also why I didn't film it. And now we're starting on the sleeves. Plus, I need to prepare the shoulder pads for this jacket because while I do have the requested shoulder pads, which are layered, and mine are, of course, black. And since I said in the beginning, the suiting fabric is not very opaque, despite the interfacing, it is still fairly see-through. Of course, if you put the shoulder pads in between the lining and the suiting fabric, you see that there are black shoulder pads shining through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the shoulder pads with lining, and then it should be good. But that's an extra step that I have to do today, and you can witness this. Join me on this adventure. So, day 5, here we go. Honey, I got what you want. Give me all of your love, 'cause it's burning hot. It's what you do to me, babe, I can guarantee. Honey, I got what you need. Under the night sky, I want your eyes all on me. Don't tell me lies now, I always get mine. Okay, so I have prepared the shoulder pads, or let's better say the lining parts, to cover the shoulder pads. I'm going to do this by hand stitching. So the concept is, it's quite simple. So I've sewn together, as you can see here, fronts and backs. And for this upper part, which would be right under the suiting fabric, I actually doubled the layers. So it was two pieces each, just to be sure that it's really not shining through in gray. So all that I'm going to do is cut back the excess seam allowance. So traditionally you cut this really big so you can trim it back, and then you fold it over, and then you hand sew it around. And then you have the second piece, which you then, oh, that's even the correct one, which you then baste to the inside, and then you flip it in and stitch again. So that's all that I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this off camera by hand, and I will see you tomorrow for day 6 of the Edery blazer. Peace. Day 6. Good morning. It's 10 a.m. right now. It's a Sunday, and we're moving on with the Edery blazer. I just wanted to quickly show you what I did last night, what I finished off. So the shoulder pads are now covered. These are good to go into the blazer. What I'm going to do now, because I think you might want to see what this thing actually looks like, I'm going to set in the sleeves, and then you're going to see the current state of the blazer. And hopefully I'll get through the whole thing today and finish it off by tonight. I really want to finish this thing. So let's go. We have an assembled blazer. It's not finished yet, but it is assembled. It's all the pieces are together. Let me show you. This is the Edery blazer. The sleeves are in. If you wonder about that slight pulling maybe up here, it's because the sleeve heads are not in yet. So I only stitched in the shoulder pads, and I think it looks quite good actually. And the lining is not fully stitched in. I guess you can tell by here. So the lining is kind of dropping down here. And that's also how you can see that This suiting fabric is really sheer. I think you wouldn't notice it as much in a different color, but since this is ivory white, or if you would buy the stark white of that fabric, it would really be noticeable. But other than that, this is the back, this is the front, and I am really surprised how close this looks to the original jacket. Especially, well, the lapel and the color I kind of figured, but just the addition of the patch pockets, I think really make this quite authentic. I did, because I promised you guys a couple of days ago, I did put this on with the waistcoat that I have made a couple of months ago. And I've decided I am going to actually make this waistcoat pattern again. Now, if I open up the jacket, you can see it does look quite well from neckline to neckline. What I am going to do though, because if I close it right where the roll line is, you're going to see the waistcoat anyway. So I find this neckline actually a little too low. And I think I want to go at least an inch up and also even out that curve so it's not as curvy, more straight. That's going to be just the version for this suit. And right here you can see this is the leftover that I have for the waistcoat. I haven't cut it yet. I will take a quick break and then come back to this. Hopefully we'll get this finished today, and then I can start with the pants. And I think it's going to look a lot more interesting once you see the matching trousers and everything come together. But yes, I am very happy with this. This is my first proper blazer, and it's not perfect, I gotta say, but it is good, and I like it. I like it a lot. I think I'm gonna get a ton of wear out of this, generally. All right, moving on. Hello again. Welcome back. The Edery blazer is almost finished. The only thing that's missing is the buttonhole and the button. I have it on my mannequin right now, so that's why I'm looking over there. But I was thinking, because I did not, I basically did not film the rest of the making of this. There was a lot of hand sewing involved. I've included the sleeve heads, and then I did all the things, lining, attaching the lining of the sleeve to the lining of the bodice, and then hemming it. And it was tricky, but good and worth it, I would say. The jacket needs a good press, a really good press. I hope I can do it with that material. But other than that, it's finished, and I'm very happy about it. Moving on to the next piece, which is the Hillary trousers. So I have the leg pieces right here, and I have bias binding. So what I will do is, this one is going to be done with, I think, the so-called Hong Kong finish. So all the seam allowances are going to be bound in bias binding, because I've tried this afternoon to get my cover lock machine that I bought a couple of years ago to work. I couldn't. I was unsuccessful. It took me an hour, and then I gave up. It's for another day. It's not for right now. But since I have methods of finishing stuff, I'm going to use my ever trusty bias binding. And so I'm going to show you tonight a little bit of me preparing the legs for the trousers. I'm very excited about these. I'm excited that it now kind of then comes together as a suit. because right now it's just the blouse and the jacket. It's kind of like I can't really show to you because it's like meh. But once I have the trousers, then it's going to start to come full circle, and then it's going to be the waistcoat, and then good to go. So let's go. And hello again. It is Friday night. I am back in my little sewing room. I have a little bit messy hair, post-workout hair. Don't mind me. I'm getting started on the Hillary trousers. Or let's better say I continue on the Hillary trousers because I got started. You've seen it previously, me finishing off the legs with bias binding. As you can see here, they are going to be fully lined, and it still looks a little sheer, but we'll deal with it regardless. And we'll see how far we get. I really would like to finish this whole outfit rather soon. Last night I did not film myself. I did cut out the waistcoat, which was the last piece, and I still have enough fabric left over to maybe make a little cami top, so I could combine the blazer with the pants and just wear it with the little cami top. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. But that is the plan. And now we get started on the pants. Are you excited? Because I'm excited. Let's make some pants. Your eyes all on me. Don't tell me no lies. I always get mine. Don't play with me. So do you want it? Do you want it? Can you feel me? Can you feel me now? Can you handle it? Alright. So do you want it? Don't trade up on hold. I can't take it anymore. Trade up on me now. Trust me and you will see it. I don't know. I forgot to count the day, but we're back on the Hillary trousers. I stopped last night after doing the back pocket. That one's finished. It's not the prettiest, but it's finished. And now I'm starting on the front pockets, and I got horribly confused with the instructions because all of a sudden it said lining piece. And I hadn't cut lining pieces because I didn't have the pattern piece. I'm not sure what happened. Either when I cut out the pattern from my A0 print, I threw it out by mistake, or it just wasn't there. But it's very confusing because in the instructions it also said to cut from lining the pocket facings. But when you have the front pocket facing the actual piece, it says cut to fabric and to interfacing. So it's a bit of a mystery. I'm going with the pictures, and I've now improvised cutting 2 lining pieces. So now we can kick off, get these pants going. Wish me luck. instead of only showing you time lapses of me sewing, I have a little surprise for you. I have an update to share, so I'm just quickly going to show you. This is the finished Hillary trousers. You can see I'm hitting my door. It's all good. So these are the Hillary trousers. I am happy that I have extended the width of the pant leg on the bottom by 4 inches to have more, just a little bit of a bell bottom. I did not really like the original where it was super narrow on the bottom with the slit. So I think this looks a lot better. This top I have spontaneously made an addition. It is the Simplicity 9114. I've made this before. I'm going to pop up a picture. I really like this top and I had enough fabric left, so it was like, sure, why not? Just add a little top to mix it up. Plus, if you then go and add the blazer, this does become full outfit. Mind you, I still can't decide if I do look in the full white look like I'm gonna get married. Maybe. I just really like this. I really like the look of this. Honestly, I am surprised how good this looks. I've checked it this afternoon, just the pants and the blazer with a black cami because this one wasn't finished. And I already really like this. I like this version too. I've also tried it on with the blouse. I like that too, but I'm not going to show you yet because there's one piece left that I need to do, and that's the waistcoat. It's been cut, it's been interfaced, lining, everything's prepped, but I need to get it together. And then we're gonna do the big reveal of the Tony Manero suit. Also, this still needs a button and buttonholes. Luckily though, I've just found some polyester thread and I will make hand-sewn buttonholes, which always look better than machine-sewn buttonholes, at least in my humble opinion. Stay tuned. We are almost there. We're getting there. I'm super excited and I really like this. Let's keep moving. We are so close to the finish line. This is the final piece, the waistcoat. All I have left to do now is make buttonholes and sew on the buttons, and I will do that with hand-sewn buttonholes. You can see here my Edery blazer, and I did hand stitch the buttonholes there as well, and I really like the look of it, so this is what we're doing. I love this. It looks really cool. It needs a final press. All right, Let's get this baby finished. I'm super excited. I can't wait to show you. And there you have it. The Tony Manero suit is finished. Now I need to say, I'm filming this outro only 3 weeks after I took the pictures of it. The reason for that was I wanted to film it actually on the day I took the pictures, but as you may see, it was very warm in Miami, and I pulled a John Travolta where, despite not me dancing in this thing, it was drenched. It was soaked in sweat, like all parts, and therefore I first had to clean it. Then I had to find the time to film this, but now I'm filming it. And I just wanted to say again how much I love this thing. It feels very nice. The polyester suiting does feel very nice when it's not 30 degrees Celsius outside and scorching sun on you. It is very, very comfortable. The fit is really nice from all four pieces. I mean, the blouse is great. The waistcoat, I really like that I went up a little on the neckline. I'm gonna go a smidge more for the next one to really ensure that the bra is covered should I choose to wear a waistcoat without a blouse underneath it. I love the Edery blazer. It was a challenge with the sleeve heads and shoulder pads and all of the things that went into this thing, but I think it looks, the end result is just fabulous. What I will do for the next version again is add pockets. Maybe not patch on pockets, maybe I go for welt pockets or pockets with a flap, because I just feel that for a blazer it gives a more polished, a more finished look. And finally, the Hillary trousers. These are very nice as well. Though I must say, next time I'm gonna omit the back pocket. I like the two welts in the front going with it now that I've seen it in pictures and just wearing it. They look really nice. Again, non-functional, just for deco. They do look nice. The one in the back does nothing for me. The pocket lining keeps peeking out, so I wouldn't include that feature again. And it would make for an easier make overall. But the Hillary trousers are really nice. They're comfy. I'm glad, like I said before, that I extended the leg on the bottom a little bit to give it more of a flared look. So yeah, I am super happy with this. I am surprised how close this comes to the original. I do feel it gives the original, it does it some justice, if I can say it like that. And funny enough, at the moment, at this very moment, the Tony Manero suit is up for auction, the original. So I found that quite funny reading that on the news that it's now up for auction, the original piece. But yeah, I'm also happy with the blouse, despite it being lighter than the original. The original blouse is black. This is a silver and gray. I still think it works nicely. So yeah, there you have it. This is my first Cinemake and the first of my Make 9 for this year. We're close to end of April and I only finished one piece so far. 8 more to go. Though I must say, the next one will come up shortly and it's going to be the only non-Cinemake out of my Make 9. But it is for an event, so I'm digging right into that and I'm gonna do it for the event. If you want to know about my Make 9, make sure to head over to Instagram and follow me at Cinema.Sewist. This is where you will see a lot more of my makes than here in video form. And if you like this, despite it being very long, I appreciate this is a very lengthy video, give this a thumbs up. if you want to follow me more on my journey, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you very soon with my next of the Make 9, the non-Cinemake, but very fun recreation. So until then, thanks for watching and see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.